The news update buzzed with details about the tower's first floor, also known as Babylon. It was reported that the Black Dragon Guild had decided to attack the 40th floor, boldly claiming to demonstrate their guild's prowess. Yet once again, they returned empty-handed. The reason for their failure was none other than the top-ranked hunter known as the Flame Emperor. Demonstrating his exceptional skills, he single-handedly defeated the 40th floor's boss. The reporter praised Flame Emperor, acknowledging his consistent achievements. Flame Emperor, however, seemed irritated during the interview. He grabbed the microphone and expressed his annoyance at being referred to by his guild title instead of his real name, disliking the nickname. He vented his frustration and vowed to find the person responsible for the nickname and make them pay. Our protagonist, Kim Gongja, watched the interview on his laptop, feeling envious of Flame Emperor's ability to speak his mind freely. Shifting his focus to the HunterNet app on his mobile, Gongja discovered discussions about Flame Emperor. People were talking about Flame Emperor's inappropriate behavior during the interview, even though the entire world was watching. Rumors about a romantic involvement between Flame Emperor and the Saintess were also circulating. Gongja, feeling envious, repeatedly expressed his desire to be like Flame Emperor. His repetitive messages caught people's attention, and they started questioning his identity. Undeterred, Gongja continued his messages, expressing his jealousy of Flame Emperor's ability to captivate everyone and the rumors about his immense wealth. He believed that in the world of novels, someone like Flame Emperor would unquestionably be the main character, while he would merely be an extra. Gongja's attention was drawn back to the interview, where the reporter praised Flame Emperor's achievements and asked for his secret to success. Knowing that many aspiring hunters admired him, Flame Emperor, clearly annoyed, responded reluctantly, sharing only a few words. Gongja eagerly watched, hoping to uncover the key to success. Flame Emperor emphasized that those destined for success would achieve it, but he sullenly warned against obstructing his path, as interference would lead to their demise. Ignoring the reporter's attempts to question him further, Flame Emperor left, leaving the reporters confused and frustrated. As the broadcast ended, Gongja closed his laptop, tears welling up in his eyes. He felt a deep sense of anger and resentment, questioning whether it was acceptable for someone as remarkable as Flame Emperor to simply ignore others. He longed to possess a skill like Flame Emperor, believing it would free him from his current life as a low-ranked F-class hunter living in a studio. Gongja dreamed of succeeding through his own abilities, wishing he could acquire Flame Emperor's skill. Suddenly, his room was bathed in a golden glow, capturing his attention. Recognizing it from numerous videos he had watched, Gongja wondered if it was a skill card, a valuable item that could grant him abilities. In that moment, a message appeared before Gongja, declaring an unprecedented envy that had yet to be witnessed in history. The tower, surprised by Gongja's intense envy, granted him a new skill. Gongja was shocked by this unexpected twist and recalled tales of people receiving encouraging messages and rewards from the tower. However, this message felt different. Another message appeared, stating that the tower was praising him for this achievement. Gongja ignored the tone and focused on the fact that he had received a skill card. With anticipation, he examined the card closely, realizing that this was the moment he had eagerly awaited since entering the tower. The card shimmered with a radiant golden glow, signifying an S-rank skill. As Gongja held the card tightly in his hands, a new message appeared, indicating that a skill card was currently being generated. Soon, his skill card was created, and Gongja's eyes widened as he read the description. The skill was named, "I Want to Become Like You," and it was an S+ rank skill. This skill would activate automatically upon his death, allowing him to copy one skill from the person who killed him and make it his own. However, he couldn't copy a skill from someone who had previously killed him, and the copied skill would be chosen randomly. A note also warned that using this skill would lead to his own demise. Tears welled up in Gongja's eyes as he struggled to grasp the nature of this skill. He couldn't help but wonder about the kind of skill this was. The tower appeared suddenly in our world, visible on the horizon from any spot on Earth without any prior warning. Those who had little to lose were the first to enter the tower, embarking on journeys to explore its depths. Each level of the tower was infested with creatures from other dimensions. Some individuals were chosen by the tower and granted unique abilities. As word of these events spread, more and more people eagerly headed towards the tower, driven by the desire to hunt down these otherworldly monsters and seek their own fortunes. In an interview, a man expressed his profound admiration for Flame Emperor, sharing a story of a battle where he witnessed Flame Emperor's incredible mastery of the flame spear. He likened Flame Emperor's movements to Nataraja, the dancing form of Shiva, the god of destruction. The man emphasized that despite achieving the highest rank, Flame Emperor's attitude remained consistent. Gongja spoke to the shop owner and expressed his wish to watch something else. The shop owner questioned whether Gongja didn't like Flame Emperor. Gongja clarified that his lack of enthusiasm had nothing to do with Flame Emperor. He lamented the stark contrast between those leading extraordinary lives like Flame Emperor and individuals like himself, who faced perpetual misfortune, akin to a game with terrible luck. The shop owner sighed, recognizing Gongja as yet another person burdened by such thoughts. Gongja revealed that he had acquired an S+ skill the day before but refrained from reporting it to the Hunters Association due to the skill's deadly consequences. Overwhelmed with frustration, Gongja broke down in tears, dreading the thought of claiming that skill as his own. The shop owner, exasperated, suggested that Gongja step outside to clear his head. As Gongja stumbled through the streets with unsteady steps, the current hunter rankings displayed Flame Emperor in the top position, followed by the Black Dragon in second place, and the Viper at third. Gongja winced, his pounding headache intensifying his discomfort. Suddenly, a distant cry pierced through the haze of his hangover. Intrigued, he shifted his attention towards a narrow side street. In the dim alley, Gongja's bleary eyes discerned a tense confrontation between Flame Emperor and the Saintess. The Saintess pleaded desperately, her voice trembling with fear and confusion. Flame Emperor sarcastically praised her acting skills, suggesting that anyone witnessing their interaction would believe her innocence. He revealed a small bottle, claiming he had poisoned the drink she had just consumed with a substance known as basilisk's stomach acid, accusing her of intending to poison him. Throwing away the bottle, he expressed relief, stating that his skill had saved him from serious trouble. Trembling, the Saintess attempted to explain it was all a misunderstanding, expressing her desire to team up with Flame Emperor to clear the tower. Flame Emperor smirked, stating he had believed the same initially but had been proven wrong. The Saintess implored him to talk, hoping to clarify the situation. Gongja's heart raced as he tried to comprehend the unfolding scene. He had always thought Flame Emperor and the Saintess were in a relationship, but their current exchange painted a different picture. With a smirk, Flame Emperor tightened his grip around the girl's throat, asserting his dominance. He allowed her to speak, but made it clear he set the rules for their conversation. Gongja's mind whirred as he observed the dangerous interaction. It became clear to him that this was not just a conversation. It was a chilling clash between someone wanting to kill and someone desperate to survive. Flame Emperor, his tone cold and calculated, took control, forcing the Saintess into submission. He informed her he possessed a lie detection skill and demanded the truth. Flame Emperor asked if the witch from Black Dragon had sent her to kill him. However, the Saintess remained silent, avoiding eye contact. Unhappy with her response, Flame Emperor's hand glowed ominously with a red hue, indicating his intentions. He bid farewell to the Saintess, and her final moments were punctuated by a piercing scream that filled the air. Gongja, witnessing the grisly scene, was filled with horror. The person he had looked up to, the supposed hero, had revealed a dark and ruthless side. Thoughts raced through Gongja's mind as he fled, tears streaming down his face. He cursed the Flame Emperor as a murderer, a psychopath. He knew he had to escape, to put as much distance as possible between them. But fate had other plans. Gongja's desperate escape was abruptly halted when he accidentally stepped on a glass bottle, causing it to shatter loudly. To his dismay, the Flame Emperor appeared from around the corner, his eyes fixated on Gongja. The Flame Emperor's chilling words sliced through the air, acknowledging Gongja's presence as the last remaining witness in the vicinity. Gongja stared into the Flame Emperor's eyes, a mix of fear and anger welling up inside him. He recognized those eyes as the gaze of a killer. The truth struck him. The Saintess wasn't the first victim. How many lives had the Flame Emperor snuffed out? Tens? Hundreds? Perhaps even more. Suddenly, Gongja lost his balance and fell to the ground, his gaze shifting to his foot. It was only then that he grasped the horrifying truth. His own severed foot lay before him. The Flame Emperor approached, brandishing a weapon ablaze with fiery power. Gongja, desperate to save his own life, pleaded with the Flame Emperor and begged for mercy. He stumbled over his words, declaring his innocence and insisting he had seen nothing. The Flame Emperor probed further, wanting to know what he supposedly hadn't witnessed. Gongja repeated that he hadn't seen anything and promised not to tell anyone. The Flame Emperor sat near Gongja and asked him about his actions. He noticed that Gongja had called him the Flame Emperor while also saying he didn't see something. The Flame Emperor didn't believe Gongja, and he even suggested he'd only believe him if he were very foolish. Gongja, struggling to speak, begged not to tell anyone and asked for mercy. The Flame Emperor gave a mean smile and warned Gongja, hinting that he'd suffer the same fate as the Saintess if he didn't cooperate. He wanted to know who had sent Gongja, and if he was connected to the Black Dragon. Gongja looked at the Flame Emperor and thought of him as a bad person, wondering why people liked him. Gongja then brought up the Flame Emperor's claim about a lie-detecting skill. He said that if the Flame Emperor used that skill, he'd see that Gongja was unimportant. But the Flame Emperor asked what lie detection skill Gongja meant. This surprised Gongja, and he asked if the Flame Emperor had accused the Saintess of a crime without any proof, only based on suspicion. The Flame Emperor strongly denied this, saying the Saintess had planned to kill him and poison him the next day. When Gongja expressed his surprise at the Flame Emperor's knowledge, the Flame Emperor simply said he had his own ways. Gongja thanked the Flame Emperor for trusting him. Then, the Flame Emperor put his hand on Gongja's head, and it glowed red. With an eerie smile, the Flame Emperor said that since Gongja had seen everything, he must die. Before saying goodbye, the Flame Emperor revealed his true name, Yusua. Gongja remembered his headmaster's words, reminding him to live up to his name since he was called Kim Gongja. This made him smile and affirm his determination to do just that. As he was on the brink of death, he pondered how unfortunate it was to meet his end in such a way. Then, a notification appeared, announcing his death. Gongja wondered why he had to die like this and regretted how he had lived his life. Suddenly, a message popped up, saying that the skill requirements had been met because of his death. Another message informed him that he had successfully copied Hunter Yusua's skill entirely, and a skill card was being created. Consumed by a longing for a better destiny, he unexpectedly spotted a shining gold card with a message encouraging him to choose a skill card. Filled with desperate hope for a fresh chance, he reached out and took the golden card. Suddenly, Gongja woke up in his bed, bewildered by the experience. Shortly afterward, the sound of news coming from his laptop caught his attention. Gongja's shock grew as he heard the news, which he had just watched. Overwhelmed by these unexpected developments, Gongja couldn't help but exclaim in disbelief, questioning what was truly happening. Gongja's face displayed astonishment as he wondered when he had returned home and what had occurred. He quickly checked the news and the HunterNet chat on his mobile, and realized that all these events had taken place just yesterday. He was absolutely sure that he had died moments ago. In an instant, Gongja invoked 2 skill cards with a single phrase, "Skill card open." The first card revealed one of his seemingly useless rare skills called "I Want to Be You." His attention then turned to the second skill card, and he pondered if he had acquired the Flame Emperor's skill when he died. This skill was named Returner's Clockwork Watch, and it had an X rank. Gongja's shock deepened as he understood that this skill allowed the user to travel back in time to 24 hours before their death. Upon returning, they kept all their memories and abilities, but the penalties would increase as their hunter level rose. This skill had been copied from Hunter Yusua. Gongja's thoughts raced as he considered if this newfound power was the legendary ability that hunters possessed. Everything started to fall into place. The Flame Emperor's reason for killing the Saintess became clear, as she had planned to poison him the next day. But Gongja felt a surge of anger. Despite being innocent, he had become a target and fallen victim to the Flame Emperor's scheme. Gongja's attention turned to his laptop, where an interview with the Flame Emperor was playing. The reporter asked the Flame Emperor for a key to success in one phrase. The Flame Emperor replied, saying that those destined to succeed would do so, but he warned against getting in his way, as it would result in death. Fueled by determination and a desire for revenge, Gongja declared that they would see who would meet their end this time. Suddenly, a loud shout interrupted his thoughts. A massive fire had broken out, and people were trying to put it out with water buckets. Gongja rushed outside and realized that the place he lived was different from the outside world. It was a city formed by those aspiring to become hunters within the tower. The city had many names: Babylon, First Floor City, and Lantern City, but it all meant the same. Once you entered this city, you couldn't leave. It was a place where its citizens were forced to live in extreme and dangerous situations. Unable to escape the tower's challenges, Gongja ran toward the fire and checked the time on his mobile, realizing it was the same time as when he was drinking. He understood that the Flame Emperor had set the building on fire to cover up the evidence of his actions and create chaos. The Black Witch, leader of the Black Dragon Guild, ordered the water users to help with their temporary takeover of the situation, determined to extinguish the fire and aid the survivors. Alchemist Castellan, leader of the Healer and Pharmacist Guild, secured the area and expressed concern for the survivors still trapped inside. They urgently needed a rescue team to save them. Captain Holy Knight, the leader of the Urban Vigilance, assured everyone that the area had been abandoned for 5 years, making their task somewhat easier. Amidst the chaos, Castellan, noticing the Saintess's absence, grew concerned. She was never late, especially during crucial moments. The Holy Knight wondered if she was on a date with the Flame Emperor, given their frequent sightings together. However, Castellan distrusted the Flame Emperor, expressing her bad feeling about him. Just then, the Flame Emperor appeared and questioned who was playing with fire without his permission. The Holy Knight welcomed him and asked for his help in fighting the fire that had engulfed the old slum area. The Flame Emperor, selfish as ever, asked what he would gain from helping. Gongja clenched the knife in his hand, realizing the audacity of the psychopathic Flame Emperor, demanding a reward to put out the fire he had started. The Holy Knight tried to convince him by mentioning the praise he would receive for doing a good deed, but the Flame Emperor made it clear that he didn't care about others' opinions. He walked away, stating that he didn't do community service. Gongja felt an intense determination to confront and eliminate the Flame Emperor. He knew the world saw the Flame Emperor as a legendary figure despite his despicable personality. Gongja believed that people were not unaware of the Flame Emperor's true nature, but they chose to overlook it, seeing him as a hero with eccentric traits. Only Gongja knew the dark reality behind the murderer's mask. He felt a responsibility to kill him for the sake of humanity and the honor of the hunters. As Gongja approached the Flame Emperor, someone tried to intervene, warning him of the danger he faced. Unyielding, Gongja pressed forward, believing that the monster deserved to be defeated, even if it meant risking his life. Surprisingly, instead of attacking the Flame Emperor, Gongja walked into the blazing fire. He felt the intense heat scorching his body, crying out in agony. Gongja knew that sacrificing himself was the only way to bring down this monster. Suddenly, the message "You have died" appeared before him, followed by another message stating that he was returning 24 hours prior. Upon regaining consciousness, he found himself back in time, with the breaking news of the Black Dragon Guild's decision to attack the 40th floor playing on his laptop. Gongja found comfort in the fact that his skill had worked correctly, sending him back to a previous moment. A message indicated his current hunter rank as F, and there were no penalties for using this skill. He realized that for now, killing the Flame Emperor was impossible. Even if he got lucky, the Flame Emperor possessed a similar ability that allowed him to turn back time by 24 hours. Therefore, as a low-ranking hunter, Gongja understood that there was only one way to confront that man. Fueled by determination, Gongja recalled an interview with the Flame Emperor discussing his awakening. When asked about the exact time, the Flame Emperor mentioned awakening during the summer when he was 21, about 11 years ago. He specified his awakening date as June 7th. Gongja calculated that the Flame Emperor had awakened 4,050 days ago from the current day. Realizing the daunting task ahead, Gongja understood he needed to die 4,050 times to confront the Flame Emperor before his awakening. Holding the knife tightly, Gongja made the decision to end his own life. As he died, a message appeared, indicating his death and his subsequent return to 24 hours prior. When Gongja woke up once again, he eyed the knife, aware that he had a mere 4,049 days left to accomplish his mission. The cycle of self-inflicted death, repeated journeys through time, and resurrection continued without repercussions due to his low hunter rank. With each demise, the countdown dwindled, first to 2,020 days, then to a mere 543. Gongja persisted, fueled by unyielding determination. Finally, a smile graced his lips as he recognized that this day marked the culmination of his journey. As he prepared to face his destiny, he knew he would finally get the chance to confront the Flame Emperor. Upon awakening in his bedroom, Gongja's gaze fell upon the empty wall, a clear indication of his success. His return to a time before the Flame Emperor's legend began was evident. With a sigh, he acknowledged the 30 additional deaths he endured beyond his original plan. Considering the time spent in self-inflicted demise and the intervals of rest, he had endured painstaking trials to ensure the demon's legacy would perish. Filled with unwavering resolve, Gongja left his room, fully aware that the time had come to locate his prey. It was precisely 11 years ago, on May 6, at 11 in the morning. Gongja observed the Flame Emperor in his bed, complaining about a pounding headache from excessive drinking. Gongja had meticulously arranged to relive this day about 10 times to ensure a flawlessly executed plan. At 9 a.m., the Flame Emperor would start his day, leaving his F-rank hunter's apartment, and as he headed to work, he openly expressed his dissatisfaction with the life he considered miserable. By 3 p.m., he would be hunting slimes on the tower's second floor. Gongja observed the Flame Emperor's daily frustration with this routine and his yearning for a life of opulence similar to the Sword King's. Being a typical 21-year-old F-rank hunter, the Flame Emperor anticipated a brighter future. Like many others in his position, Gongja understood this, but he also knew that the Flame Emperor's desired future was unlikely. To disguise himself, Gongja killed a red slime and covered his body with its viscous liquid, preparing for the next stage of his plan. At 5:31 p.m., the Flame Emperor ascended to the 6th floor, seeking greater challenges, assuming that hunting slimes could no longer sustain him. Aware that for the next 36 minutes he would be alone with the Flame Emperor in this area, Gongja approached, his eyes filled with determination. Covered in red slime, he pleaded for help, claiming he had been attacked by wolves and urgently needed a potion. Frustrated, the Flame Emperor glanced at Gongja and promptly dismissed him, stating that if he had already engaged with the monsters, the day's hunt was done. Gongja persisted, desperately begging for a potion, but the Flame Emperor, clearly irritated, questioned why he should give an expensive potion for free to a stranger he had never met, airing his own frustrations, explaining he could barely meet his daily quota and couldn't afford to give away costly potions. Gongja attempted to reason, mentioning that the potion was worth 20 gold at the Chemist Guild, and he was willing to pay, but the Flame Emperor interrupted him, implying Gongja undervalued his own life if he could only afford 20 gold. He questioned Gongja's worth. Desperate, Gongja raised his offer to 40 gold. Seeing an opportunity, the Flame Emperor smiled and demanded Gongja give him all he had. Seizing Gongja by the collar, he took his wallet. This confirmed Gongja's suspicions. He had anticipated the Flame Emperor's exploitative nature. Examining the wallet's contents, the Flame Emperor counted the money and commented on Gongja's poverty, questioning why he didn't carry more. Gongja insisted it was all he had. With a smirk, the Flame Emperor declared he would put the money to good use, further unsettling Gongja. When Gongja requested the potion, the Flame Emperor reached into his inventory, pulled out a weapon, and voiced concern that Gongja might seek revenge if released. He stated he wanted to live without regret and, since Gongja had seen his face, believed Gongja should simply die. Reacting swiftly, Gongja skillfully dodged the attack and responded with a well-placed kick to the Flame Emperor's sensitive area. Determined to ensure a life without regrets, Gongja drew a knife and launched a counterattack, successfully striking the Flame Emperor, who fell to the ground. Gongja declared that he couldn't allow a life-threatening incident to trigger the Flame Emperor's awakening. With unwavering resolve, he moved to ensure the Flame Emperor's permanent removal and proceeded to finish the job. Filled with anger, Gongja expressed his outrage at the pain and suffering Yasuha had inflicted on numerous people. Turning away from the scene, Gongja noticed a pack of red wolves nearby and offered them the opportunity to feast on the Flame Emperor's remains. As the wolves began their gruesome meal, Gongja continued on his path, clearing away some foliage to retrieve his hidden bag. Changing into fresh clothes, he prepared to make his way to the 1st floor. Upon arriving and being teleported to the 1st floor, doubts lingered in his mind. Was it truly over? He spotted a patrolling knight, and a sense of fear and apprehension washed over him. As he and the knight neared each other, Gongja tensed up. However, to his surprise, the knight simply passed by him without any sign of recognition. It became evident that nobody knew the full truth of Yasuha's actions and his own act of revenge, leaving Gongja with a sense of relief and closure. Sitting in the bar, he felt happiness and relief, knowing that the loathsome legend of the Flame Emperor, Yasuha, was eradicated from the world. He called out to the boss, requesting another beer to celebrate his victory. The waiter noticed Gongja's enthusiasm and inquired if his hunt had gone well that day. Gongja confidently responded, declaring that it had been his most successful hunt to date. He then issued the command, Open Hunter Ability Window, and his stat window materialized, revealing his current abilities. In his stat window, his name was listed as Kim Gongja, and his rank stood at F. Among the 4 available slots, he possessed 2 skills. The first skill, I Want to Become Like You, had an S+ rating and was categorized as passive. The second skill, Returner's Clockwork Watch, held an EX rating and was also designated as a passive ability. Gongja cherished these skills, but acknowledged his lack of offensive capabilities. He contemplated whether this yearning was an inherent trait of being human, and reminded himself that with his current skill set, he could still accomplish significant feats. Gongja mulled over various possibilities for his future. He pondered using his abilities to win the lottery from the Merchant Guild, give and take, or selling valuable information regarding the secrets of the higher floors. He felt that his life had taken a turn for the better, setting him up for life. With excitement, He contemplated the path he should tread next, eager to explore the new opportunities that awaited him. Just then, an elderly man entered the bar, prompting the entire establishment to turn and look at him in surprise. The old man calmly placed an order, requesting more milk with a touch of vodka and sugar, expressing a preference for honey over sugar. One of the patrons hesitated, explaining that he wasn't a bartender. However, the old man reassured him, offering to pay extra and easing any concerns. A conversation buzzed among the patrons, with one person noting that the old man appeared to be authentic. Another questioned his presence. Meanwhile, a news broadcast on the TV captured Gongja's attention. The news anchor emphasized the need for unity among hunters, especially in challenging times, and asked about the activities of the Sword Saint. To Gongja's astonishment, the figure displayed on the TV as the Sword Saint was none other than the old man sitting in the same bar as him. This revelation piqued Gongja's curiosity about the Sword Saint's identity and purpose. The Sword Saint, whose real name was Marcus Callenberry, had once been the uncontested top-ranked hunter until the Flame Emperor Yusua gained prominence. Gongja, considering Sword Saint's reputation, wondered if he possessed a strong offensive skill. Unlike Gongja's peculiar ability, "I want to become like you," a thought struck Gongja. What if he could copy the skill of any hunter who killed him, even if that hunter happened to be the current #1 in this era? Realizing that he no longer died permanently, Gongja grew confident in his ability to achieve this feat. In his search for information about Sword Saint, Gongja discovered that he came from a wealthy European family. However, nobody knew his specific skills, and he had the odd habit of talking to himself. Despite his efforts, Gongja couldn't find any useful details about Sword Saint. Suddenly, Sword Saint spoke aloud, commanding someone to be quiet. Startled by this, Gongja realized that Sword Saint indeed talked to himself, leading him to wonder if this peculiar trait was common among top-ranked hunters. Gongja's attention was captured by an article titled "Warning: Something You Should Never Say in Front of the Sword King." The author claimed to have witnessed an incident where high-ranking hunters taunted the Sword Saint by trash-talking him. However, matters took a grim turn when they mentioned the Sword Saint's grandchildren, resulting in their swift demise at the hands of the Sword Saint. Doubt crept in among readers. Some suspected the author might be affiliated with a large guild and spreading rumors. Unfazed by skepticism, the author responded, asserting that their aim was to share the information, cautioning readers never to mention the Sword Saint's grandchildren in his presence if they wanted to avoid a similar fate. Gongja noted the information, deeming it worth testing. Meanwhile, the Sword Saint could be heard conversing with himself, demanding silence and expressing his intention to handle something while lamenting that his presence had ruined the taste of his vodka. Placing gold on the table, the Sword Saint thanked the bar for the drink and left. As he departed, the waiter wished him a good day, and one of the girls at the bar expressed relief at his departure. Her companion wondered if the Sword Saint suffered from dementia, questioning his habit of talking to himself. Taking cues from the Sword Saint's exit, Gongja also stood up, expressing his gratitude to the waiter and paying. The waiter thanked him in return and encouraged him to visit again. Determined, Gongja left the bar, resolved to find the Sword Saint, the current top-ranking hunter. He scanned his surroundings, hoping to locate the Sword Saint, reasoning that he couldn't have gone too far after leaving the bar. Soon, Gongja spotted him and discreetly began following, recognizing the Sword Saint's unique attire that made him stand out in Babylon. Gongja speculated about the remarkable skill the Sword Saint might possess, considering it could even surpass the Flame Emperor's rare X-rank ability. Gongja nurtured hopes of acquiring such a skill for himself, as long as his fortunate streak endured. However, their pursuit took an unexpected turn when the Sword Saint suddenly halted and called out, instructing Gongja to reveal himself. Taken aback, Gongja realized the Sword Saint had instantly detected his presence. The Sword Saint noted it was an appropriate location, assuring that nobody would be aware of what transpired there. Gongja emerged and respectfully addressed the Sword Saint, explaining he had a request. Amused, the Sword Saint questioned Gongja's intentions, wondering why he had approached in such a manner. Confused, Gongja noticed the Sword Saint seemed prepared to attack, despite Gongja doing nothing more than following him. Puzzlement filled Gongja's mind as he contemplated the situation. At that moment, the Sword Saint commended Gongja's acting skills, praising him as a top-notch assassin. Gongja trembled with fear, apologizing and expressing his bewilderment. Internally, he wondered why the Sword Saint would perceive him as such, realizing he hadn't even mentioned the Sword Saint's grandchildren, a usual trigger for aggression. Stammering out an apology, Gongja denied deliberately following the Sword Saint. The Sword Saint, displaying disdain, found Gongja's continued acting distasteful. He accused Gongja of attempting to deceive him, but asserted that Gongja's efforts were futile. Summoning his courage, Gongja approached the Sword Saint and begged for an explanation. Unable to comprehend how he could be perceived as a first-rate assassin, when he believed he appeared ordinary and unremarkable, the Sword Saint drew his blade and silenced Gongja, revealing that he possessed various skills, including one that exposed the number of human lives Gongja had taken. Gongja admitted that he had a motive for his actions. He had killed the Flame Emperor to prevent him from becoming a future monster. However, Gongja realized that, to those in the present, he had no excuse for his deeds. He envisioned that the Sword Saint could see the number 1 above his head, signifying the solitary murder he had committed. Gongja implored the Sword King to hear him out, emphasizing the validity of that specific count and offering to swear on his life. The Sword Saint removed his hat, finding it repugnant that someone like Gongja, who had ruthlessly taken numerous lives, would attempt to place value on their own life. While acknowledging that he hadn't lived a pristine life himself, the Sword Saint claimed he hadn't engaged in the same level of ruthless killing as Gongja. Taken aback, Gongja expressed his astonishment, asserting that he had only ever killed one person. However, Sword Saint aimed his blade at Gongja, accusing him of lying shamelessly. According to Sword Saint, the count of how many people Gongja had killed was clearly displayed as 4,091 above his head. Gongja realized that the count of 1 was for taking Yusua's life, while the staggering number of 4,090 indicated the times he had taken his own life. To Sword Saint, Gongja appeared as a legendary assassin responsible for 4,091 deaths. Sword Saint questioned if the Black Dragon's witch had sent Gongja. In a panic, Gongja began running away. As he fled, Gongja understood that the situation had escalated beyond the matter of skill copying.
So here the video comes to an end. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. Like the video and comment down your all-time favorite anime name and share it with others. Also, check out these amazing recaps as well.